York's classic rock, Q1043.
Q104.3, Ken Dashow, and I have been trying to get this man up here for years and years and years. He's a passionate Q104.3 fan, and he's also so ridiculously famous and changed the world of music. From Run D.M.C. fame, Darryl McDaniels.
Hey,
Thanks
Ken.
for coming up to Q, finally.
Thank you. Finally, yes. I listen every day religiously.
I love it.
Yes.
When you first said that we were doing a benefit at the Cutting Room and we met, I listened every day.
Every day.
And I was like, what?
I couldn't believe.
I don't know why I didn't realize that. He's wearing an AC/DC shirt, and of course it is. And then I think back about Aerosmith, about, what was it, 1986, the Walk This Way thing, where you literally, in the video, you literally kick down the wall, Steven Tyler and you, and break the wall between rap and rock.
Everywhere I go, every country, I could go to somewhere I haven't been yet. And I've been everywhere. I've been to South Sudan to perform. I've been to Russia and Ukraine. Wonderful people in both of those countries. Everywhere I go, they do this. DMC, don't you know when Steven Tyler took that mic stand and knocked down the wall that was separating you in the video? That didn't just happen in the video, it happened in the world. Everywhere I go, they say that. That was a powerful moment.
It was. I mean, it was the first mainstream rap hit, right, on Top 40 radio. Yeah. And I've said this to you before. You saved Aerosmith. They were spiraling down the drain.
They say it now, too. You know, they
and for Steven Tyler to admit it, that's
and
a
Joe,
huge...
And Joe backed him up. They said, I mean, the problem was, now, hold up. Let's give them their props, though. They were working on that wonderful album.
Yeah.
With Dude Looks Like a Lady, an Angel.
Yeah.
Like there was what... But they could have spent a $300 million promotion and marketing campaign. Nobody cared. Here's my joke. They could have literally made a song with God, Jesus, and Moses. Nobody would have cared. They were humble enough to take a chance. Yeah, we know those guys. You know what I'm saying? But nothing was working for them until they said, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. We dig what those cats are doing.
And look, that's what it did. And, you know, here we are all these years later, Red Hot Chili Peppers, who absolutely drank the Kool-Aid, saw exactly what it is. We're walking around the studios here at Q, and every single person is saying, yeah, I grew up in a world that was rap and hip-hop, and I didn't abandon one for the other. No. I liked them both. And
Run DMC says, you can do it. They were already doing it. Like, we didn't create the rap genre. They were already doing it, but they didn't know if they could do it in front of people. They were listening to it but I was just with Tom Morello before he went on to perform. He's listening to Ice Cube.
Right.
So everybody was doing it. And then there was the little black kids in the hood like me that was listening to rock, Judas Priest, and everything. You know what I'm saying? But when Run DMC came and did it, it was like, oh, we could do it and not worry about what people think? No. But that's what music does.
Yeah.
It succeeds where politics and religion fails. It doesn't divide us.
Did you hear that? That's exactly what it is. When you go to a concert, whoever the artist is, you don't ask the person next to you who they voted for.
Right, exactly.
You're singing along, you're dancing, you're moving.
Music is the only thing that can take walls that were created by, purpose or even not purposefully, but music is the only thing that could take it and bring it down to this, Ken. I don't dislike you because you like chocolate ice cream and I like vanilla. I don't dislike you because you like apple pie and I like cheesecake.
Right.
And now we go through life of all the things in politics and religion, this and that. Even within those things, Muslims against Christians and Democrats against Republicans.
Right.
When you go to a concert, none of that matters.
Amen to that.
Yeah, man.
I've never, it doesn't matter who the artist is or what they're playing, everybody's welcome, which, kind of takes us to the Beatles. Because, I want to talk about your Beatles experience, but the biggest thing.
I'll tell you, it's funny, too.
If you saw the documentary, and it's true, when they were booked to play Florida, it was a segregated crowd. And this is the Beatles, their start, right, 64. They're just breaking America. And like Paul said, we just thought that was the stupidest thing we ever heard. Yeah. Why would you make one group of people sit here and the other that? Like, no. And our manager said, well, look, we're just starting out. Let's not make a fuss. No, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah, they did the stupidest thing they ever heard.
And just because of their force of their power, they won't play. Do you want to give the money back, or do you want to just let people sit where they sit? And every blues guy, every artist I've talked to said, of all the great things they did for the music, that one thing where an artist found out you could say that and that the venue or the promoter would back down, because it changed things. Look, the whole thing started, the whole terror of this demon rock and roll is the most horrible thing. And Alan Freed, the DJ, he had the audacity to play black artists. And
what are you doing?
This is going to destroy America. White kids are dancing to Little Richard and Chuck Berry. It's the death of America.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. It destroyed all evil.
Yeah.
What's the Godzilla of destroy all monsters?
Yeah.
It destroyed all monsters. I mean, think about it. When the Beatles did their rooftop performances, the fifth Beatles, a black guy named Billy Preston. Like, people just don't get it. But I love the courageousness and courage of these musicians to not be ashamed or worry about what people think. That's to show people what truth is.
Right, and that was the Beatles. What was your first Beatles experience? When did you first hear them?
First Beatles experience, it's probably Yellow Submarine.
Wow.
That's what, 66,
7, yeah.
60. So I'm only what? I was born 64.
Okay,
so I'm a kid.
Yeah.
So and I didn't know about the movie, the cartoon, till later. But I'm a kid in cartoons. But it wasn't because it was a cartoon. Even to this day, when I listen to that song, there's something about the vibrations in that song that, as a kid, I'm 4. So as I'm growing up, in the town where I was born, it touched me. It brought life to me. But I think the Yellow Submarine resonated with me because as a kid, I wasn't into music yet. But that song touched me. But I was a comic book kid.
Yeah.
So Stan Lee, New York City, he didn't create Gotham and Metropolis. He didn't want to be a city. He just, I'm going to put the superheroes in New York.
Stan Lee, right.
So there was something about the stories that I was reading of the superheroes. Spider-Man's from Queens. I'm from Queens. Like, it wasn't make-believe. It was real to me.
Right.
So I'm hearing this story. I'm hearing this song. Not only the vocals and the story of it, but that track, that music is dope.
It is.
And it was just something about the Beatles. And then that led me to, so now I'm 4 years old. I'm kindergarten, first grade, second grade. So then, this is funny. I didn't find out until about the 90s that Paul McCartney wasn't talking about the Virgin Mary coming into his room with Let It Be.
Right.
So Let It Be is another song that had this different vibe. Damn, the music to it. But here's the funny thing, Ken. I went to Catholic school my whole life.
Right.
So I knew for a fact when he says, Mother Mary comes to me, he's talking about the Virgin Mary.
Of course.
You got to understand. I'm a kid. My whole life I'm thinking it's the Virgin Mary. It wasn't until I
80% of the world thought it was that.
It wasn't until I saw an interview where it says mother was
my mother Mary. Yeah. But as he said, take it for whatever you want. A song is, once you make a song, whether it's Let It Be or She's Tricky, once you put it out in the universe, it means what the listener wants it to mean. That it becomes
for
theirs.
their circumstances.
Exactly.
I mean, they say now the music business, because of technology and streaming and all that, music has now become very personal to people. But it was always personal.
Exactly.
Y'all are just waking up to acknowledge that now by the way people are receiving it. But it was just, and you gotta understand, when I'm saying Yellow Submarine, man, that music, it was just so new to me.
But
I had never heard anything like that. Then Let It Be came. With the Beatles it was Yellow Submarine, you can be in this world, D.
Yes, you're
as
welcome.
you are, and there's other people. I was like, so this guy's on the other side of the world. Like, I didn't know where London was. I'm a kid. But then when he started singing about, in times of trouble, all of the words of the Beatles resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped me understand all the other rock and roll and the music that was to come. Because it made me resonate with the purpose of their storytelling. Just like Stan Lee had a purpose for creating the X-Men, to tell knuckleheads about racism and hatred, and you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the Beatles music, for me in the 60s, I was born in 64,
Right.
was like literally my biblical explanation of what's going on in this world.
And it was for me and for so many others of every generation.
Mm-hmm.
That song, Yellow Submarine, it's a nursery rhyme.
Yes,
and that's what brings the children in.
Yes,
and
here's the kingdom of heaven, like they say, it is childlike.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And it just made me resonate. And all our friends was next door.
Right.
It was like they was talking about me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And you can sing along. The wildest thing, and I got to tell Paul this, is that if I tell you 120 over the years, maybe a few hundred people have told me, my child is on the spectrum. He's nonverbal. This beautiful boy is just spitting. He's in the clouds. He doesn't react to things. I love him, but he's in his own private world. And we're listening to your show, and Yellow Submarine comes on, and I'm taking him to his therapy thing. And out of the blue, this boy who has never said a word except sound says, "We all live in a yellow." He goes, and I almost drove off the road and killed us. I'm crying my eyes out. Yeah. Ken, what is in that song that cut through a mile of concrete and haze in my poor little kid's brain that he heard it and sang it? And I tell this story to Paul, and he said, yeah, people have told me that. I don't know. We wrote it. He said, but I believe, and we don't know exactly. He goes, maybe there's frequencies or something that a scientist will figure out. I don't know. But
probably is, because that's what was doing to me.
He said it never was more than, oh, that sounds good to us. Let's do it. Right. And isn't that true of yourself or anything? If it sounds good, that's it.
Yes.
But there's a depth to these simple songs.
100%.
The number one requested song that I've done for 25 years on Breakfast with the Beatles is "In My Life" by John Lennon. And think of the message. It's a 2-minute song. In my life, I love you more.
That's it.
What to put that gift into the world?
Right.
At times of trouble, Mother Mary, and then John sings.
Yeah. No, what about the line? Every one of us has all we need. Sky of blue, sky of blue is sea green,
right.
And now yellow.
It's heaven. It's Eden.
It 100%, 100%. And then but Sergeant Pepper's, now I'm known, these guys is it, and then Sergeant Pepper comes in. I just love the transition.
And it kind of looks like a cartoon with the colors and
with the colors, yeah. And it's a story. Like, I think the Beatles represents. I hate talking the past.
Right.
They do it.
Yeah.
Now.
It's eternal.
It represents the stories of all our lives, no matter whoever they're singing about, Taxman, I can relate to that. They're talking about Mrs. Whoever. Everybody has a story, like we just talked about.
You're absolutely right.
Stories that save people's lives.
And speaking of which, my guest, Darryl McDaniel, Run DMC fame, we met. There was a benefit. There's a book that Darryl wrote, Darryl McDaniels, 10 Ways Not to Commit Suicide.
Because you don't have to.
D, this is one of the most powerful books. If this saves one person's life or 1,000, when you grew up in hardship, abandoned, foster home, it wasn't easy, and look what you built. And you built this beautiful life. And many people don't see that light at the end of the tunnel. They just feel the darkness around them. Right. And even at our age, I've lost friends who've taken their lives and things. And you just want to say, just one more day, if you could just get through today.
I've learned this, of course, because it's Darryl, DMC, whatever. But I was speaking at a Barnes & Noble in Cleveland one time, and this lady brings her son. he knows who I am, but he don't care. He's on meth. He's trying to figure it out. He hates life in this. So she's at her last wits. And, for her, surprisingly, she's thinking Darryl is the mighty, indestructible king of rock who walked his way in his Adidas to tell the world how tricky life could be with running Jay and hooked up with Steve and Joe and just made life great. She couldn't believe that I was admitting that I'm scared, I'm weak, I'm troubled, I'm traumatized. So she's at her last where her son's in and out of rehab and stuff like that, and therapy and everything. So she brings him to hear me speak about my book at Barnes. So Ken, he's sitting there the whole time like this.
I dare you.
Like,
nothing.
I don't know if it's, I don't care, this isn't going to happen, I don't care, whatever.
He's a wall
So
up.
he's just sitting there, a wall up, but he's listening.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, she comes up to me and says, my son wants to speak to you. So he just had to ask me one question. And he says to me, Ken, tell me why I need to be alive.
Oh,
I don't know. Like
Darryl,
I'm because everybody's stories.
I got a gift to Gab too, but I would not know how to.
Yeah, imagine having that. Whoa. Like of all the things, and don't say
because kids are direct. They don't beat around the bush.
Yeah, social worker, the guy that wrote the book. Don't ask me that. I'm trying to figure it out along the way. And something in me just said, because it is, your story can save a life. Your trial, your tribulation, your struggle. And he just gave me a look like, left. So I go back to Cleveland to do stuff with the foster kids and work with them. The lady comes, and I'm like, yo, how's your son doing? He's doing fine. What do you mean? He was in the metal band, and he was, the whole drugs and stuff like that. So one of the things she said was with him was like, he wants to be Ozzy. But he didn't realize that you might not never be Ozzy and stuff like that. But when you told him that, you gave him a purpose. So now, in addition to running around in the van, playing the shows that he can, he's now teaching kids to play the guitar.
Oh, wow.
He's not mad that he's not getting signed and all that. Plays on the weekend, and the fact that she said the fact that he can just go play makes him feel
alive.
Like a rock. Yes. Yes.
D.
That's why I did the book. It was like somebody said, D, tell more people your story. So anybody out there listening and struggling, one of the reasons why we want you to stay alive, I need to hear what you've been through. Or somebody needs to hear what you've been through. The fact that you're able to say, yo, I'm alcoholic, I've been abused and stuff like that, you are saving trillions of lives. So my funny joke is, I wanted to be a rock star when I was a kid. Growing up listening to the radio, late 60s, early 70s, the Beatles, Procol Harum, Whiter Shade of Pale.
Oh, my God.
Crosby, Stills, Young and Now. Even now to some of the greatest storytellers, Jim Croce.
Yeah.
Harry Chapin. But then I'm hearing this guy, Freddie Mercury from his band Queen. I'm like, I want to do that, but I got a problem. I'm a little black kid, I can't sing. And then my other problem is I don't have a band. But this thing called hip-hop comes over the bridge from the Bronx that's utilizing all this music, allows my rock and roll dreams to come true. But then I also knew that there was a purpose with it.
Yes.
And that purpose was things like what Neil Young did when there was a shooting at Kent State University.
Right.
Run to the studio, make a record about it.
Yep.
Not about politics, didn't have to ask my manager. It's not about record sales. It's something that we need to talk about. We can be a voice for people who think that they don't have one. So music has allowed me, first of all, allow my rock and roll dreams to come true.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I walk in a room with Tom Morello. I got to meet John Fogerty. Like, I get to hang out with Sting. And when I walked over to him, and Robert Downey Jr. sitting over there, and they all calling me king. And I'm ashamed because, no, I got it all from you. But they're liking, we like Steven and Joe and said we love what those cats were doing. We were the little fad. People thought we was going to die quicker than disco.
Yeah.
They was giving it to
It's
us.
a fad.
Where you going to be in 3 years? This and that. You know what I'm saying?
You know the Beatles. Every single one of those guys, British Invasion people, the Kinks, Beatles, every interview they did, 64, 65, here and in England, said, "What are you going to do with yourself in 2 years when this is over?"
They got it too.
Every single interview was. So what? What are you going to do with yourself? Obviously, this is like a hula hoop.
Yeah, it's not gonna last.
So here we are, 50, 60 years later, as
Led Zeppelin, all of them.
Yeah, and I remember our old station. They said, "Listen, rock is dead. There isn't $1 left. It's all being rude and blue humor on the radio." Wow. I get to Q1043 here in 1999. I go, well, maybe it's not done, and get me and Scott Muni, may rest in peace.
Muni.
He was our radio dad. He was the guy. You just could go to him for everything. He was top of the mountain and knew when to kick your butt and when to put his arm around you.
He was the Yoda.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a lot of work. He called everybody Fats.
Wow.
If I introduced you, he wouldn't, "Hey, Fats." Here's Paul McCartney. "Hey, Fats." Wow. Doesn't matter who. Women, "Hey, Fats." Because I like Babe Ruth. I can't remember names.
Right.
Fats. Rapper Fats. It's like that. But his passion was there. So brought us and Maria Melito and Mark Coppola from K-Rock.
Oh, my goodness.
Right? So she's doing middays, and Jim Kerr and Carol Miller from PLJ. And here we are, 27 years later, knock wood, and there's a whole new generation of kids that love it. And now there's a whole
My
newer
son, when
generation.
he was listening to me, I would drive him to school every morning. Q is on. He would go, "Daddy, why people don't make music like this anymore?"
Really?
Yes.
How old is your kid?
He was 9 when he was saying this.
Wow.
7 and I'm talking about everything from Led Zeppelin, like everything that Joe was playing. It was bugging him out. That what is this? And that's the beauty, because even as I got older, my friends would always go to me and say, "DMC, why are you listening to all that old music?" I would say, "Oh, wait a minute." It's not old music. Classic doesn't mean old. It means better than everything that comes after it for eternity. So it's eternal. Kids nowadays just collecting vinyl.
Yeah.
They might know Let It Be, but then they'll hear a song that wasn't a single off a Beatles album and go, "Oh my God, what is this?" It's about continuous discovery of who you are when it comes to music. So it's important to keep a station like 104.3 around, because even when I talk to people from all cultures, Asian, African, all cultures, they say we keep the music and the stories around the music alive, because if you don't, people will lose who they are, cultures will lose who they are, and you will lose your history. So you can go back and listen to the Beatles, and not only do you know what the song was, if you pick a song like "Love Me Do," not only do you know the song and what you was doing in your room, but you also know what was going on in the world, what was going on with your mother and father, what happened down the block. So it knocks down those walls of separation. When there's no such thing as a generation gap. It's a communication and a participation and a conversation gap. And music keeps us alive.
I'm going to tell you right now, you open a rock and roll church, be our pastor, there's going to be 5 million people in that room. There's no building big enough to hold you. You are my preacher, you're the master.
I'm like a student, because you got to understand, when you said Maria Melito, I was like, I love her. I felt like she knows me. I'm a student. You mentored me into understand. I discovered something, but you mentored me. But you also allow me, no, you don't have to do it as we do it.
Right, do it your way.
Do it your way.
Which is what the Beatles did, which is what Gershwin did, which is what Mozart did. Mm-hmm. It's like Mozart and Beethoven aren't going anywhere. Beethoven was the first rock star. I'm a big classical fan. He invented the power chord. Da-da-da-dum. He invented the first power ballad for Elise, for his girlfriend, hoping to get a little.
Right.
Moonlight Sonata is the first power, and I studied their lives. So if you were a classical musician, 1700s, 1800s, you either sucked up to the church like Bach, and they paid you to write all these church music, and you could write some other stuff, or you had to find some rich guy, a prince or a royal to pay you to write stuff. And after Beethoven's first symphony, his Count, was it Esterhazy? I don't remember who it was, said to him, he was young, he's 21, 22. He's like, here, Beethoven, it's lovely, but there are too many notes. It's too busy. You have to simplify it. And Beethoven interrupts him and says, excuse me, there are a lot of counts and noblemen in Europe. There's only one Beethoven.
Oh.
Like, whoa, and if that's not rock and roll when you're 21 years old, don't tell me how to write the music.
Oh my goodness, that's rock and roll.
With his first symphony, the same thing. The first violinist here we are, like these are the best orchestras. Says to him again, Herr Beethoven, you've written this on the piano, and it makes sense, piano keys, but the violin is a different instrument. You have to learn how the violin works in order to play these notes because it's very difficult. And Beethoven says to this established guy, do you think when I'm writing this music with God that your name comes up at all? Like, dude, if that's not rock and roll.
Wow. I guess we was kind of rock and roll from El Tador because when we made our first single, this is before we did Rockbox.
Yeah,
we did this song called Sucker MCs. If we did our first single was an A-side, B-side. Because what people don't know, hip hop is the baby of disco. So the giant 33s, giant 45s. A-side was just like that, a message record, talking about the world and what was going on. And then the B-side was a B-side record called Suck 'Em C's. It was just a beat and me and Run rhyming. We took all the music away, and it's us rhyming about some Suck 'Em C's. First of all, it's that. But when it comes to my part, I come on and go, Run passes me the mic. DMC, if you're ready, the people rocking steady. You're driving big cars, get your gas from Getty. Remember Getty gas? So I come on out of all the things, and the perception was hip-hop is black ghetto music. And it's going to be a fad. I come on and I shout, I'm DMC. In the place to be, I go to St. John's University. Since kindergarten, I acquired the knowledge. After 12th grade, I'm going straight to college. So when we was going around to all the records, now remember, it was independent labels signing, hip-hop. No, everybody turned us down because they said this. There's, there's no way anybody in this world wants to hear a kid who's calling himself hip-hop rap about St. John's University and chicken and collard greens. But Profile Records said, you know what, this is different. And let that be heard.
Yeah.
So all the kids who, because the perception was you got to be in a gang and you got to be a thug and you got to sell drugs.
Yeah.
I'm rhyming with the same enthusiasm and ego as gangbangers and drug dealers. I'm rhyming about school and education. But it made all of those kids that were going to school say, oh, man, I'm cool. Just like you said, we met Skinny, what's his name?
Yeah, Skinny Mike.
He was torn between, black music and the rock music. Run DMC came along with Rockbox and said, yo,
you don't have to choose.
You
don't have to choose.
You don't have to wear a Grandmaster Flash t-shirt if you don't want to. You can wear Judas Priest.
Awesome.
And all those kids says yes, the geeks and nerds and the creators.
So many people here at iHeart have said that to Darryl. Our buddy Mike, who's the producer, Skinny Mike, said exact word for word what you meant to me.
Music gives you permission to be who you are.
Darryl McDaniel, Run DMC, my special guest here at Q104.3, as we talk about rock and rap, and it's just music and make your case. So there's this song we've always played through the years. It was an old blues song called Black Betty.
Yep.
And was done in the 70s by a southern white rock band called Ram Jam. It's got an amazing...
From Long Island, right?
Yeah.
From Long Island? One of them was from Long Island.
Yeah. And, we play from time to time. It's got an incredible beat. The drum is awesome.
Yes. The riff is ridiculous.
And D calls me and goes, I'm thinking of screwing around with this and coming up with something. And you sent me the demo. You sent me the rough thing you did. I went, this is incredible.
Right.
So here it's coming out. When is this being released?
It's out now.
It's out now. It's called She Gets Me High.
Yes, because the original publishers didn't want to confuse people. And I did it as a tribute to Ram Jam's Black Betty, which is a tribute to the blues artist Leadbelly.
Yes.
So when they said, okay, you can use the record, but you can't call it Black Betty. So we just took one of the lyrics when they yelled,
She gets me
high.
Yeah.
And since I'm sober, I'm like, yo, let love get you high. You don't need a substance.
Amen. So here's the band. It's DMC, Sebastian Bach on vocals, Duff McKagan on bass, Travis Barker playing drums, Mick Mars on guitar.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
I mean, that's just nuts.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
Right.
You got Skid Row, Guns N' Roses. You've got Motley Crue. My God,
it's crazy.
This is crazy. The story of how it came together.
Yeah.
But tell the story about how you got my buddy Seb. How you got Sebastian to do the vocals.
Well, me and Sebastian was at this one show. We was doing something for MTV, and it was called Celebrity Rock Superstars. And the producer of the record, Sonic, by the way, he's an R&B guy.
Yeah.
But the song came about, he went to a football Giants game. And you know, at sporting events and hockey games, when there's an intermission or timeout, what comes on? Music from all the bands that you just made. So he heard all of those. He heard Walk This Way. He heard It's Tricky. And then he heard Ram Jam's Black Betty. So he's got, D, you're going to do a version of Rap Betty. So we originally had a sampled version. So he goes to the football game and he says, D, I just heard Walk This Way. You got to do this record live. So he put it upon me to figure out how to go get live musicians. So I happened to be at this thing with Sebastian at MTV. And every time I would leave a room, people would come out and go, he's phenomenal. He's one of the greatest voices ever. Oh, by the way, did you forget that he did Phantom of the Opera? So I was like, who the hell are they talking about? And I look and it was Sebastian. Yo, DMC, what's up, man? All of this enthusiasm and stuff like that. So Sonic's like, yo, go break the ice. Get Sebastian. Ask Sebastian would he come sing the vocals live. So I just walked over to Sebastian and I'm like, yo, Sebastian, what time did we go up? What time is it? So I just basically asked him what time it was. And for a half hour, he told me what he likes to do at 2 p.m. Dude, usually at 2 p.m. I do this, and we going in, and we just started a conversation. And then I go, yo, and he's like, yo, man, I love what you do, whatever. And this happened with everybody that's on the record. Is there anything you would like to do? And I was, by the way, I got this song done. But here's the beauty, Ken. When I told him what song it was, he gave me the 411. He gave me all the info about man, when I was young, there was one of my inspirations. He knew what musicians did, whatever. So he's like, tomorrow we're going in the studio and I'm going to do all the vocals in. Show up at the studio, he's the first one there. Me and the engineer looking at Sebastian, he's doing all the plugins for the board. He sets up the mic. He puts up all the foam in the booth, and then he goes in there, and what you're hearing on the record, he delivers that. Hold up. Comes out, says, play it. He played it from top to bottom. Don't use none of that. I got to go do it again. To me and the engineer, we like, yo, it's the best thing we ever heard. He was so passionate.
That's exactly who you want to work with. If you have to twist
with
somebody's arm, it's never going to work.
Yep.
If somebody says, I have to do this.
And Sebastian was like, man, this is an important record. You got to go find these musicians. So I left Sebastian. I went to a party because I've been sober for years. I've been sober since 2004.
Congratulations.
So I go to a party that I didn't want to go to, and I meet Travis Barker. And he comes up to me. The first thing he says, I'm looking, oh my God, this is Travis. He just comes up to me and says this right away. DMC, most people jumped on the bandwagon with Walk This Way, but I was rocking with y'all since Rockbox. And then he goes, I can't make this up. Man, if there's ever anything you need me to do.
Funny you should mention that.
I have Sebastian and sent it him, so he sent his drums in. So then, you're going to love this one. So now I got Sebastian, I got Travis on the record, right? I'm at a Cologne meeting here in New York City, and in the middle of the meeting, the lady says, she looks at the phone, and she's trying to be polite to me, Ken. I'm sorry, because I'm Darryl. She's treating me special. I'm sorry, Mr. DMC. I have to take this phone call. So I'm thinking, no, it's cool. It could be your wife, it could be your husband, your kid. She goes, it's Mick Mars. And I'm like, oh, you can take that right here. So she gets on the phone and says, hey, Mick, I'm sorry. I'm running a little bit over time. I'm in a meeting with DMC. And Mick goes, DMC? DMC? Man, I love those guys, right? So she says, oh, you do? Well, he's right here. You can tell him yourself. So me and Mick get introduced on the phone. You're going to love this. You're going to love rock and roll music. We start talking about hats. Because he's telling me, man, you were running with those hats. So we start talking about hats, and it was just beautiful. And then he goes, I'm not making this up. You can ask the lady that was with us and my manager. He goes, DMC, if there's ever anything you need me to... Well, I got this song with Sebastian.
The world is making this happen. You know, the
Yes.
fate, whatever words, God, whatever words you want to use, is telling you this is how this happens.
I love the song, this and that, boom, bang. And I go, oh, you're down to do it. So, Mick, I'm going to fly you into, I'll put you in the Four Seas. He says, no. You get on a plane, you come to L.A., I'm going to make Nikki Sixx give us a studio. We'll do it there. I fly to L.A., we land, I go to the studio, Nikki Sixx shows up in his pajamas, throws us the keys. Everything that you hear, if you listen to the record, even on the radio edit, when the record ends, we just let Mick keep going. He couldn't move, but those fingers wouldn't stop.
By the way, let me go back a second. I'm trying to visualize this in my head. Nikki Sixx, in his pajamas, comes down,
pulls up into the studio, throws us the keys. Here's the room. Yo, just make sure you lock the door. It was the coolest things ever because we leave. All my boys just go, yo, that was Nikki Sixx. I was like, yeah, that was Nikki Sixx.
That is rock and roll at its
best.
He
was just saying, yo, make sure you lock the door. And then, so I got them on. So then it took a minute. So now we on a search. We got to get the live bass player. So we're looking for Bootsy. We're looking for Flea. Everybody's busy. We get word to Flea, and then Flea goes, "Yeah, I'm busy, do this." But then Flea says, "I don't want to do it. Y'all better get Bootsy." And I just love how humble Flea wanted, not him. He said, "Get Bootsy. I want to hear Bootsy." So then it goes like this. So we need the bass player. We need one more live element for this song. So Sebastian says, "I'm gonna take a roll of the dice. I'm gonna call my friend." Picks the phone up and he calls Duff McKagan, and Duff picks up, and he's like, "Dude, I'm listening. What you doing with DMC? What? Like Duff is like, slow down, so what the hell is going on? But you got Travis on there, okay?" So then Duff, magical words, "Send me the song. Let me hear it." 5 minutes later, I'm going in the studio right now. I'm getting my engineer. Duff delivers all of us the bass lines.
What it's supposed
to
be.
That's how the song came together.
It's organic. Again,
yes, it was organic.
Yeah, it's called "She Gets Me High." How are people going to find it?
It's everywhere. Okay. It's on all the digital, and we're doing vinyl, of course.
Of course,
nothing is final unless it's on vinyl. So we're doing vinyl and everything.
Like me and like everybody else, I gave away all my vinyl to schools and things. I've spent the last 10 years buying it all back, which, I mean, if
everybody
you had said to me 25 years ago, you should keep all the vinyl, it's going to come back. Like, yeah, and a butter churn's going to come back too.
Yeah, right. And it's slowly coming back. It's either that you purposely gave it away, or you come home from the service, or you come home from college, and your mother tells you, "I threw all of those things out." Vinyl and comic books all meet the same fate. Vinyl and comic books all meet the same
Little did I know, my
fate.
toys and my comic books were my retirement fund. Exactly. Had I held on to them.
No, for real.
So tell me, as far as Run DMC or DarrylMcDaniel.com, what are the socials? How do people find you?
My social is King DMC. I also have, I got 3 socials because I have a comic book company because I love comic book. I have a company called Darryl Makes Comics because my first love before rock and roll and before hip hop was comic books. So you can go to, on socials, DMC Makes Comics on IG, King DMC on IG, and also I make cookies. DMC also means Darryl Makes Cookies, so I have DMC Makes Cookies on
We have to do a whole nother show about baking with DMC.
Yeah, exactly. It was like I got sober now, so I can't do liquor. So I didn't want to do clothes. I don't like doing everything everybody else does.
Right.
So I was like, besides music, what is something that can bring generations and family together and make them smile? Cookies! 100%. Exactly. Yep, exactly.
I love talking to you, Darryl. It's a joy. We could do this all day and never stop.
Forever.
Your passion for music, it's why I got into radio, because it made me smile so much as a little kid.
100%.
This voice saying, here's the Beatles, here's Procol Harum, and then graduated Scott Muni and telling me all these cool bands that I didn't know, and hearing Jimi Hendrix. Like, what is that?
Yes, I love
what
it.
Is that? How does that happen? Things you never heard, sounds you never heard before.
That's what Tom Morello said about King of Rock. He was like, what is that? But the funny joke out there to your listeners, Tom did not want to come to a Run DMC show because his friends went to see us before he was able to do, and he was scared to come see us because he couldn't understand, what do you mean they don't have a band? What the hell are they doing? Then he found out, the DJ thing and stuff like that. That was one of the cutest revelations ever.
Oh, DMC. If it wasn't for Run DMC, here we have the Beastie Boys that we're playing. We have Red Hot Chili Peppers that we're playing. It all comes from the seeds that you planted. Right. And look, other people were doing it, seeing it. But somebody, like George Harrison once said, well, if we weren't the Beatles, somebody would have come along and been the Beatles. No, I don't believe that. It's a certain group of people. This guy, Ivan Vaughn, brings his 15-year-old buddy, Paul McCartney, to see his other buddy, who's 16, play a church picnic. And he can see that the guy, the 16-year-old is drunk and he's forgetting all the words to come go with me. And takes him back and introduces these two. Wow. And he goes, what do you like to do? And Paul, I said, what was the magic? Why? He goes, as kids, people would say, you play football. Do you want to, which football? Do you love football? He said, no, I like to write songs.
And that's a beautiful thing.
And you get dead silence and they'd walk away. He said, when I met John, he said to me, what do you like to do? I said, I like to write songs. And John said, I like to write songs. And he said he was the first kid I met in Liverpool who said, I like to write songs.
It was cool to say creative stuff.
Right. But no, it's cool to say you're a footballer and I'm a great forward. I'm a goal. Right. That's what kids, sports.
Right. That was the thing that made you somebody.
Right.
Not anything that's not cool. What do you mean? You play in a band, you're doing...
Right.
No.
You're a kid. Right.
You got to be in a gang or you got to be on a football team.
Exactly.
That's, for me growing up, that's what it was.
And look, today, is that still weird? Every teenager forever is, how do I fit in? Where do I fit in? And like you said, the book about this, 10 Ways Not to Commit Suicide, it's about... Nobody fits in. Everybody feels like an awkward outsider. Even the kids who are pretending to be cool, remember, they're pretending to be cool.
They're going through something.
Yes.
Sit them down and talk to them. They're hiding something behind. It's funny that you say that because the guy that takes 100 shots at the party, nobody stops him at number 5 and say, what's wrong? The guy that's beating everybody up in the neighborhood, nobody stops him and say, who's beating on you? It always starts from somewhere.
Absolutely.
And all of us, I love comic books because all of us have superhero abilities. And all of superheroes come from traumatic situations, but they are able to overcome it.
The people who make music are my superheroes. From the Beatles
100%.
to Run DMC, Darryl McDaniels.
Thank you.
I love you. Q104.3 is your home. Know that,
yes,
and you're welcome anytime.
Thank you. I have another family that has officially adopted me. Thank you.
Amen. DMC in the house.
New York's classic rock. Q104.3.